There's a pill sitting in your medicine cabinet right now that no one fully understands. Not your doctor, not the pharmacist who sold it to you, not even the scientists who have been studying it for over 100 years. It's Tylenol, acetaminophen, or if you're in Europe, you call it paracetamol. Same drug, different name. It is the single most popular pain reliever on the planet. Americans alone buy more than 25 billion doses of this stuff every single year. You take it for headaches, fevers, back pain, period cramps, hangovers, basically everything. And here's the part that should genuinely disturb you. We still don't fully know how it works. I'm not saying the science is a little fuzzy. I'm saying the actual mechanism, the thing this molecule does inside your body to make your headache go away, is still officially a mystery. A major pharmacology review put it like this: despite being in clinical use for over a century, the precise mechanism of action of this familiar drug remains a mystery. That's not from a blog post, that's from a peer-reviewed academic paper. I'm a pharmacist, 9 years in, and today I'm going to walk you through what we do know, what we think we know, and the one discovery that made me put my coffee down and just stare at the wall. Let's go.
Okay, so to understand why Tylenol is such a puzzle, you need to know how most painkillers work first. When you stub your toe or twist your ankle, your body sends out little chemical alarm signals called prostaglandins. Think of them as tiny megaphones screaming, "Hey, something is wrong down here." They cause swelling. They cause redness. They make nerves way more sensitive to pain. Now, your body makes these prostaglandins using an enzyme called COX. Don't worry about the full name. Just think of COX as a prostaglandin factory. Drugs like ibuprofen and aspirin, they walk into that factory and shut it down. They block COX. Fewer prostaglandins get made. Less pain signal reaches your brain. Simple. So for the longest time, scientists assumed Tylenol worked the same way. It kills pain, right? It must be shutting down the prostaglandin factory, right? Well, here's where it gets weird. When researchers tested Tylenol in a lab dish against the two known COX enzymes, COX-1 and COX-2, it barely did anything, like embarrassingly little. They couldn't even calculate a proper inhibition score because it was so weak. Meanwhile, ibuprofen was in the same test, just crushing it. And Tylenol was over in the corner, doing almost nothing. So how is this drug killing your headache if it can barely touch the enzyme that every other painkiller targets? That question has haunted pharmacologists for decades.
So scientists started digging. And in 2002, a researcher named Daniel Simmons found something wild. He discovered what appeared to be a third version of that factory enzyme. Not COX-1, not COX-2. A brand new variant. They called it COX-3. And here's the kicker. When they tested Tylenol against this new COX-3, it actually worked. For the first time, Tylenol showed real inhibition of a COX enzyme. People got very excited. The mystery was solved. Papers were published. The textbooks were about to be rewritten. And then, the excitement collapsed. Other scientists tried to find COX-3 in human tissue and couldn't confirm it was fully functional. There was a problem in the genetic code, a stop sign built into the DNA that should prevent the full protein from ever being made. Now, some researchers have shown ways that human cells might get around this stop sign, and there is evidence of a COX-1 variant protein in brain tissue, but the debate is still alive. No one has definitively proven that a fully functional COX-3 exists in humans. So that was a dead end. Or a half-dead end. The jury's still out. But here's what did hold up from all of that research. Knockout mice. Scientists took mice and deleted their COX-1 gene entirely. And when they gave those mice Tylenol, the pain-killing effect vanished. Gone. But when they deleted COX-2 instead, Tylenol still worked just fine. So, Tylenol's pain relief depends on something in the COX-1 family, but it's not regular COX-1 because Tylenol barely touches that in lab tests. The leading theory? Tylenol targets a variant, a cousin of COX-1 that lives primarily in the brain and spinal cord. Not in your joints, not in your stomach, in your brain. And this is why Tylenol kills your headache, but does absolutely nothing for a swollen ankle. It's not working out on the battlefield where the inflammation is happening. It's working in the command center, where the pain signals are being received. By the way, if you're driving right now thinking, okay, cool, but should I be worried about taking this stuff? Hang on, we're getting there. But first, I need to tell you about the part where Tylenol gets connected to cannabis.
Now, if that wasn't strange enough, in 2005, a completely separate team discovered something that blew the whole field wide open. They found a secret metabolite. Here's what happens. When you swallow Tylenol, your liver breaks it down. One of the breakdown products is a little molecule that crosses the blood-brain barrier, sneaks into your brain, and gets converted into something called AM404. Now, AM404 was already known to scientists before this discovery, but not as a Tylenol byproduct. It was known because it messes with your body's endocannabinoid system. Yes, cannabis, as in marijuana, as in weed, that system. When you take Tylenol for your headache, your liver quietly transforms part of it into a molecule that goes up to your brain and gently nudges the same receptors that cannabis activates. No, the cops are not coming. The amount is absolutely microscopic, but the connection is real. Your headache pill is a very, very distant cousin of weed. Now, before you get too excited, here's the catch. When scientists actually measured how much of this cannabis cousin gets made from a normal dose of Tylenol, it was almost nothing. We're talking 0.001% of the drug. That's like a single drop of water in an entire bathtub. The amount they found in human spinal fluid was so tiny, it probably shouldn't even be enough to do anything. And yet, when scientists blocked this pathway in mice, Tylenol stopped working. So does this cannabis connection explain how Tylenol works? Maybe partially, maybe not at all. Every time scientists find an answer, the answer raises 3 more questions. If you're doing the dishes right now wondering, how is any of this possible? Yeah, welcome to what pharmacologists have been feeling for 100 years.
All right, so Tylenol kills pain. It probably does it through the brain. The exact mechanism is still being argued about in labs all over the world. But now, I need to tell you about the study that made me question everything I thought I knew about this drug. In 2010, a psychologist named Nathan DeWorl had a wild idea. He knew that brain scans had shown something shocking. The parts of your brain that light up when you feel physical pain are almost identical to the parts that light up when you feel emotional pain. Think about this. You know that feeling when you get dumped? When someone you love just walks away and your chest physically hurts? You say, my heart is broken, and it's not just a figure of speech. It genuinely aches in there. That's not poetic exaggeration. Your brain is literally processing that rejection through the same pain circuits it uses for a broken bone. So DeWall thought, if Tylenol works in the brain to reduce physical pain, what if it could also take the edge off a broken heart? He set up 2 experiments. In the first one, he gave people either Tylenol or sugar pill every day for 3 weeks. Every night, participants wrote down how much emotional pain they'd felt. Hurt feelings, rejection, feeling invisible. The Tylenol group? Their emotional pain scores dropped steadily, week after week. The sugar pill group? Nothing changed. Now, Experiment 2. This is where it gets wild. Different group of people, same setup, Tylenol or sugar pill for 3 weeks. But this time, at the end, they put people inside a brain scanner and made them play a computer game that was secretly rigged to exclude them. The other players stop passing you the ball, they ignore you, they leave you out. And even though you know it's just a game, it stings. When the researchers looked at the brain scans, the people on Tylenol showed significantly less activation in the exact brain regions that process emotional pain. The same regions that fire when you burn your hand on a stove. Tylenol had literally turned down the volume on broken heart. Now let that sit for a second. That feeling when you get left out of a group chat, when you see your ex with someone new, when you're at a party and nobody's talking to you. That pain is not just in your head in some vague metaphorical sense. It is in your head, running through the exact same wires as a sprained ankle. And a pill from 1893 can reach in and dial it down. That's not just pharmacology. That's telling us something deep about what it means to be human. The loneliness you feel is as real, as physical, as biological as a broken arm. Your brain doesn't know the difference. Now, before you raid your medicine cabinet after your next breakup, hold on. Please do not do that. The researchers themselves said this does not mean you should pop Tylenol to deal with your emotions. And as a pharmacist, let me be very clear about something. Your heartbreak might get a little better, but your liver will not thank you. Tylenol overdose is the #1 cause of acute liver failure in the United States. Time heals a broken heart, but a wrecked liver, even your pharmacist can't fix that one. So, what is the takeaway? Your brain doesn't have separate departments for broken arm pain and broken heart pain. It's all running through the same ancient wiring. Physical and emotional pain share the same circuits, and a pill that can quiet one can apparently quiet the other. Let's land this. Tylenol. It's the most popular painkiller in human history. Over a century old, billions of doses sold every year, and we still don't have a complete answer for how it works. Here's what we do know. It works in your brain, not at the injury site. It probably targets some kind of COX-1 cousin enzyme that we haven't fully identified yet. Your liver turns a tiny fraction of it into a molecule that nudges your cannabis receptors, and somehow it can even turn down the volume on the pain of being rejected. One pill, 100 years of research, and still question marks. Next time you pop a Tylenol and your headache fades in 30 minutes, just know you're swallowing one of the biggest unsolved mysteries in all of pharmacology, and it's been hiding in your medicine cabinet this entire time. I'm a pharmacist. I read the papers so you don't have to. If you want more of these, subscribe. I'll see you in the next one.